Wow, what an interesting couple of weeks we've had.
Nothing
Never
nothing to
before.
talk about. How's the weather in Colorado?
Nothing to talk about. Gorgeous, beautiful fall days. Hmm.
Where do we start?
Wow.
Never happened to me that I not only I wrote notes of the topic I'm going to talk about, I literally wrote like lists of thoughts and summaries and things to say. I feel overwhelmed by the increased information of what we gathered in the last 24 hours, exactly 24 hours from right yesterday. And go backwards, go to the Netanyahu's speech on Friday, and go to the UN European country accepting a Palestinian state, and go back to an attack in Qatar. It's been a very busy month, but I think I'm gonna start unfortunately different in two ways. Number one, as I don't know what you think about yesterday's event. I'm guessing there are like split feelings between people who say it was the best press release ever. I mean, everything we wanted, full victory, whatever. There's people who think that, and there are people who say, "Oh no, it's the beginning of a Palestinian state. It's the end of everything we fought for, etc., etc., etc." There's a lot of ways to look at it, and before we're gonna jump into the story, I want to say that my um, my unfortunate experience in this field always tells me, and I mean, you can go back to events like this, like after big announcements, things that should have changed something in the world. The very next day, you will see some sort of a terror attack happening. It's the everlasting jihadist agenda that cannot just, whenever you think like, okay, we're normal, let's talk, let's do peace, don't forget, we have the sword and we will show you who is in power. So I'm saying it because unfortunately, maybe 3, 4 hours ago, there was another terror attack yet again in Israel, where I mean that's the most I mean, and I hate to say it, but it's the most unadvanced way to kill people. And it was when a car, yet again, drove over a bus station, running over two teenagers. Both of them are injured. Now, very random, very random, happened to be that a friend of mine, Chezi Nechama, who is an army officer and served many years in the army. There are videos of it already being sent, and he hears this crash, stops the car just to check what's happening, and look, there's the terrorist coming and attacking him, get going into him. He has a gun. He shoots him, and he kills him. So my friend was in a position, I mean, God puts him in a position to kill this person. And I must say, he wasn't a lucky terrorist because this guy served in Sayeret Matkal, was a commander on Givati. He's a real trained soldier. But with heavy heart, I need to go back and say something else that happened 2 days ago. So in the last Zooms, many Zooms we're doing along these couple of months, I'm always going back into the story of the reservist. Right? I always mention the fact that it's unheard of. You know, people my age with 3, 4, 5 kids are serving 300, 400 days. And of course, people fall. But there's an, there's something that we don't talk a lot about, and these are the injured soldiers. So just literally 2 days ago. This guy was injured. I'm showing you the phone. I know he has a long white beard, but he's my age. His name is Liraz Zeira, and I was with him in high school. We learned in high school, so we were good friends. I actually met him several months ago, and last year we meet every once in a while. He lives in Jerusalem, and his day job, he is you know how there's like the Chabad Lubavitch movement. So he is an emissary for the Chabad movement in the campuses in university in Jerusalem. So he works with students, and he a very positive guy and do a lot of charity work, and they make meals, and he works very, very hard, and he has 5 children. But he is now Lubavitch, an emissary, but he grew up like me in modern Orthodox religious. So he also served in the army in a special unit in Givati. Therefore, when the war started, he already was a commander. And with all this long beard and being this like rabbi, he is serving commander. Now, before I'll show what happened to him, I will say that it happened to me that I heard a story of something that happened to him last week. I actually recorded it in this weekly portion for this week portion, but especially for you guys, you're going to hear it first. So he serves in Miluim, in reserve, and he's doing like a lot of circle of serving, and he is serving now in Syria, in the border with Syria, and it was Rosh Hashanah, so he was lucky to be sent home. There was somebody else in charge, so he's home and he's there at the night and in the morning, and then he's getting a phone call from his commander saying, "I think something happens on the border. We need you back." So he hurries back to the front, to the border, and he was spending the holiday with his in-laws that also live in the north. So it's like a 30 minute drive. And of course, being an emissary, being a rabbi, being Lubavitch, if you know anything, if you ever met them, they are obsessed with allowing other Jews to perform the rituals and the mitzvot. You will see them in the corners of the street, wrapping tefillin around people. You would see them traveling with sukkah. Some people make a blessing. That's their thing, helping Jews. And it was Rosh Hashanah. So how can you help when you have like this situation? You're bringing the shofar. So he takes the shofar with him, and while he drives there, and he arrives, and now he's a commander in charge of the border of this region, and he tells his driver, "Let's go into different bases and see how the soldiers are going." And he goes to these different units, and he's taking the shofar with him, and he asks somebody never heard of shofar, blows the shofar, and that's all. After a couple of story I heard from after a couple of bases, he arrives to this small base, and the driver says to him, "There's no need to enter this base." Why? He says, they were a very religious unit here, religious kids, and because of the holidays, there was another unit of Druze, non-Jews, Druze, who volunteered to take over the base and release them for Rosh Hashanah. So, my friend Lira says, "Okay, so I'm staying in the car." They gave him whatever they had to give them, and suddenly they're like sitting on the gate, and somebody comes from the base wearing pajamas. The middle of the day of Rosh Hashanah. And he says to him, "You're not a Druze, you're a Jew." He says, "I am a Jew." "Oh, you want to hear the shofar?" He says, "Listen, you see me, with pajamas like this as a civilian, but you don't know the story. Listen to my story," he says. "I was born and raised in Jerusalem in a very, very Hasidic group called the Satmar Hasidim. And I left religious life. I left the faith, I left everything. And coming to the holidays, I remember how much I didn't like it. So I've decided this year I'm reservist. I will volunteer and I will come here and I will spend the holidays. And I heard that the only Jews around me. I was so happy because they said nobody's gonna come and bother me with shofar and all the rituals of Rosh Hashanah. So I don't want to hear your shofar. It's all good. So Liraz, in his very, you need to know him, very positive, smiling person. He says to him, you know what? It's okay. You don't need to listen to shofar. You should have a great holiday. I hope you're gonna eat happle and nani or something. Yeah, just trust him. Something in that word penetrated his heart, and he decides to say to him, so my friend takes the shofar, and this guy says to him, wait. I'm wearing pajamas. Now we're hearing a shofar. I used to be, the guy who dresses with all the black things. Now I cannot hear with the shofar. I'm going to go and change. So he goes to change, put his uniforms, and comes back. And he says, actually, can I make the blessing on the shofar? I know the blessing. I grew up like this. And he says, after many, many years, he stood there and he made a blessing. And you understand, he grew up in a Hasidic community. He speaks Yiddish. So he makes the blessing in a very Yiddish accent. He says, Boiruch Oto Hashem, like, and Liraz is like shocked. He also asked from him if he can give him like the prayer shawl that he sits, and he makes a blessing, and that's this. On the last day of the Miluim, that was on Sunday, or maybe Monday, no, Sunday, and in the Syrian border, there are a lot of how do you call it, Kim? The one you put in the ground that soldiers and cars can drive and it's gonna explode. Mines.
I would say a roadside bomb or a mine.
A minefield, right?
Ugh,
So his car exploded. Is a
no.
very severe situation.
Oh
He
no.
cut two of his legs under the knee, and he's now is in a very, very bad situation, but he will survive. That's what the doctors say. And now there's a lot of prayers that needs to be made in his recovery. So I'm just going to mention his name. His name is Liraz Tzvi Halevi Ben Sarah Yehudit. And may the good things, the good merits are going to be in his health and speedy recovery. So we go back to his wife and 5 children, and the work he does in Jerusalem with the students. So many good things they did this year.
Text me his name so I can put it out in the chat, Shmuel.
Okay. Well, somebody's going to ask a question. I'm going to type really fast.
Okay, that's fine.
I started this. This is an inspiring story, a sad story. Should have been in the last. Now it directs us into a different zone. We need to talk about politics. I wanted to start with this because with something that I always say, my friends, and I'm going to repeat saying it. I don't have any information you do not have. You want to hear people talking about analyzing every word that Trump said and what exactly it means with Qatar and Dubai, like all of this. I don't have all the sources you need. You have them. I do have one thing though. I'm giving you the perspective of an Israeli and when you hear about what is right now between Trump and Netanyahu in Washington, you should understand that in Israel, people are boiling, people are cooked with emotions and feelings about this war that nothing can explain it. Whenever I'm trying to share here, I'm trying to bring this perspective in mind. Don't ignore the feelings of Israelis. Do not ignore the atmosphere in the street. And don't forget that above words and above plans, there are human beings here with emotions that sometimes are not rational. That was important for me to start with. because I will try to share what I've heard in yesterday's press release, press conference, and I would share it in a way that is also taking in consideration that these stories about Liraz and reservists with 5 children dying, exploding, losing legs is something that we hear often. Every week, every couple of days, there's another soldier who dies. Every day that passes, especially these days of coming to October, which will mark 2 years of the war, every year we remember our hostages. Every day there's a new interview with another hostage that was released and shared horrible stories about what happened there. To say the least that we want this war to be ending is an understatement. We are sick and tired from this situation. And it means that even though it might be that the right decision would be continue to fight until all your needs are going to be met, we are done. More than that, last week in the UN, you saw how state after another comes and declares a Palestinian authority, a state. A week before that, you heard Bibi Netanyahu talking about international isolation. He talked about how our economy needs to be fulfilling all their needs because we're going to be like Sparta. We're going to be in isolation. These are things that penetrate our mind. I'll give you 2 simple, might be even stupid examples of how it attacks us. Number 1, almost every guy, is into his sports. And Israelis love one sport more than anything. Which one is it? What's the Israeli sport?
Soccer.
Correct. FIFA, the Federation for Football International, said or discussed about the fact not allowing Israel to participate in any official international game. Now, it sounds nothing, right? Who cares? Yes, people do care. It's painful for them to imagine they're not going to participate, like we are not going to participate. They're losing every game. I must tell you, we're bad in soccer internationally. We're not good. And yet, we want to participate. We want to be part of everything. The flip side, Eurovision. The Eurovision as well said that we don't know if we can allow it, that Israel is going to play. Now listen to what I say. We are in a situation that the modern state of Israel is going to be something like South Korea. A place that nobody wants to play, nobody wants to come close, nobody wants to negotiate to give them anything, no economies. Everything we have is based on the fact that we are an international force. We provide companies, we provide CEOs, we provide tech, we provide agriculture. We buy and we ship and we get so many things. We're a small, tiny country. You've been to our country. Our country can be fit into the US hundreds and thousands of times. I don't know even how many. How can we provide only for ourselves? The thought that Israel is going to be isolated, that we are going to be outcasted or to be, just like in the case of leprosy. Now listen, every day on the news in Israel, every day we read incidents about Israelis and Jewish people that get anti-Semitism attacks all over the world. This lady was shot at in Japan. This person was shot in Germany. Crazy stuff. This morning, right? You hear a story about a guy who wanted to board his flight back from Italy, and the stewardess just ignored him until the time that he lost the plane, and the plane wrecked. I mean, these are small, minor issues But in the perspective of what penetrates Israel, this is something crucial to get. Now, I think, whenever I record this, and this is going to go online, you have a situation where Palestinians or people that are pro-Palestinians listen to it, and me bringing the Israeli voice, it's online, and I'm talking how it's penetrate us. Yes, it does penetrate us. Israelis and Jewish people are, in the very least, internationally minded. Think about the fact that every Israeli almost came to Israel, moved to Israel in the last 75 years. It means that we have, and you know that, everywhere you go, you see Jewish people. Although we're only 15 million, we are people, half of the nation is still in exile. Yes, it's important for us that the community in Detroit is suffering from anti-Semitism. We care about people in Brazil. We do care about the Jews of friends that need to come and take their mezuzot away. It's something that's a concern. I'm not even talking about Australia. So you understand that everything I'm going to try to say right now comes with a perspective as that we wanted to end it. I mean, not we, specifically me, but the people of Israel wanted to finish it. And that's the voice Prime Minister Netanyahu gets, especially after the demonstrations in the UN, talking to an empty hall, and countries after country recognizing Palestinian state. Now let's jump inside the story. President Trump presents his plan, 21 points. I'm not going to go into each one, but I'm going to try to describe in a very short nutshell the perspective of what we saw and also the perspective of what could have been shown there if we only look deeper. So just, I want to try this in the show of hands. I only can see 4 people with their faces. You heard the news. You heard the plan. If you think it's a positive plan for Israel and we should take it, raise your hand. Even everything I said before about how we want it over and the isolation, all of it, okay, no. If you think it's a really bad deal and we should push it away, raise your hand. Either. Only Kim. Yeah. 1 more, 2 more. If you think that's the third option, that even if Israel is going to take it, Hamas eventually will find a way not to go with it, and therefore it's going to fall anyway. Who thinks that? Let's start with the pro. Oh, great. Alan and Jane, thank you. You're with the third one. Hamas is not going to take it. Let me start with the bottom line, in my perspective. I think in a well-organized chess game here, we have a very interesting situation where if Hamas is going to take the deal or is not going to take the deal, it's in our favor. And I will try to explain. First of all, let's look at the deal as optimistic, as people who saw yesterday a great win. Number one is this. We get all our hostages. Was it 72 hours, right? That's what they said, 72 hours. Amazing. Number 2, Israel is allowed to continue to act in the perimeter around the Gaza Strip. We still have control. Number 3, Israelis are going to enjoy an international force that will take care of business in Gaza. And even in the case that something happens, it's not going to be covered on the right way, we are allowed to attack. Okay? More, it's not a deal only between Gaza and Israel. It's something that involves Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Indonesia. In a way, there's like a coalition here against or in favor of solving that situation. And if it's not going to work, we still can say that this coalition is standing in our side. At least to say they really had a genuine attempt. And in the case it's not going to work the right way, we can continue to attack and do whatever we want. So yesterday, or whatever it was, yesterday, Netanyahu, in a speech, defined 5 things that were accomplished here. I'll repeat them. The hostages, Hamas is down, Gaza demilitarized, Hamas is not involved in the recovery of Gaza, neither the Palestinian Authority. Maybe that was number 5. And the fact that all of those elements were achieved, huge success for Israel. I can add a couple of more. I can also add the fact that in a way there's always this feeling that he said different than what President Trump said, because he understood that he's talking to the Israeli voice. And the Israeli voice said, we want to finish with a victory. If we can allow 5 points for this victory, we're good to go. And these 5 points, they were eventually answered. More than that, we can literally say that the minute after this press conference finished, all those Arab countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Indonesia, all of those are already published. I can get international for positivity towards this. And more than that, that the Abraham Accords, that was funny enough mentioned several times in the speech, is something crucial for Israel. And if Indonesia and Saudi Arabia this is the clear thing, they will join, it's awesome. Plus, all the European countries that just a week ago talked about Israel is now raving and say, wow, amazing, look what you did. Good, you're going to do peace, you're going to solve the situation. Clearly, there was a big difference between how much Trump was eager to talk about an actual war, and Netanyahu talked about something about an agreement, 5 points, victory maybe, not the same. And just because Trump is the most amazing, funny guy that I ever heard, I love watching him, especially in that speech, he will get a Nobel Prize. It's also a great achievement. That's positive. That's great. That's awesome. Leave it there. One more thing, though. If everything we said is correct, and if we said that just like Trump said, this is an international coalition to stand with this agreement, we just made a big move that pushed the pressure from Israel to Hamas. You get it? Hamas now is on the spotlight. After Israel said yes to this, now it's going to go to Hamas. If Qatar, the sponsor and the source of all of it, said yes to it, probably Hamas will have even better or more pressure to deal with the situation. And we have this shift of events that now everybody looks at Hamas, how they will react. Will they follow? Will they answer? But let's look at the negativity. It started with this awful feeling when the first, maybe it was 10 minutes before the actual press conference started, an Israeli reporter talks about an apology. You heard about the apology? You haven't heard of the apology?
No, I missed this one. Sorry.
Okay, the White House actually released a photo of this. I'll show you the photo and then I'll share what it was. It's a very nice black and white photo. Here. You can see.
Okay. Yep, we got the picture. Yep.
President Netanyahu is on the phone while Trump holds the phone. Crazy photo.
Right?
That was a photo of Prime Minister Netanyahu calling Qatar and apologizing for the attack in their land. Because
What?
10 days ago, was it, that we bombarded this conference? So we had to apologize.
Oh my God. And killed all the Hamas leaders.
We failed. It didn't work. Yeah, there was an attack, failed attack, and we had to apologize. And he apologized over the phone. And Qatar says, okay, we accept it. That's the expiry. And suddenly the blood in your veins begin to warm. In Israel, I would say even boil. Qatar, the country that sponsored, architect, and basically maneuvered all of this, never said anything, any apology about the 7th of October, sponsored Al Jazeera, the biggest tool of anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli propaganda in the world, and we need to apologize to them. Then we haven't talked about the price. We get this bundle of things. It's great. What do they get? Number one, they get hundreds of the hardest terrorists convicted in our jails sitting now. As they said a while ago, we want to clear and clean the prisoners, the jails. We don't have any more Palestinian people sitting in jail. That's what they claim. They're receiving a lot of them. Number two, how many times in the past? No, we've been to a situation where we think somebody else is going to take care of our business, and then we wake up and say that it doesn't happen. Let's talk about it for a second. Even let's talk about it from the perspective of the US. Because USA, I was surprised that they will consider yet again to go as an international force into a place. They've been this. They did it in the past with so much mud, with so many mess. Let's talk about it. The core, the International Stabilization Force, right, the ISF, it's basically a recycled version of the idea that Arab countries and international forces will do the work for Israel. What will happen after the first shot? What will happen when they're going to go and gun them? Who's going to lose his life in defending this mad country? More than that, Israel needs eventually to withdraw from Gaza. We didn't talk about it because I'm ashamed to mention it. We're also giving up sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. That was one of the first things. If we will, talk about sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, it's going to be the end of it. So like 2005, Israel withdraws. Sounds familiar from the Gaza Strip. We hope that things are going to be better, giving the hands to Hamas and paving or to somebody else that's going to be in charge. And we know what they do when they're in charge in the land. The biggest problem we have, which I am surprised that all of you got it in a split second, is that we tend to forget the atmosphere of the people we are dealing with. Yet again, for the 100th times, we think we are dealing with rational people that want peace and love eventually. They fought. Now they're going to withdraw. They're going to leave their weapons. They're going to leave Gaza. They will stop terrorism. Come on. How many times we've been to this situation before? We already lost more than 1,000 soldiers 20,000 are wounded. And now we need to back up all this area. Give up terrorists and get 20 living soldiers and 30 other hostages. The pressure in Israel is big. As I started, we don't want the war anymore. Now, ever since yesterday, the world, and especially everything in Israel, is talking about, yes, best deal. We should take it. We should end the war. We should bring the hostages. I think that the one thing we learned is that only Israel can guarantee Gaza security. Maybe the only way around it is to go into sovereignty in Gaza, bring communities back, as we thought this story will end with. Now, what will happen with the big promise of Donald Trump to have a new Riviera, relocate Palestinians to every place? He mentioned it. He says if they want to go, they can come back. It sounds like the same old story, the same old song yet again. Solutions that are made by Western society who wants quiet and peace, while they tend to forget who we are dealing with. Now, two things to consider. Number one, I want to go back to the attack in Qatar. Would you consider the fact that the attack on Qatar wasn't planned to kill anybody, but was just a warning sign to them to say, we know you are in the midst of it, we know you're involved, and we will just do a small explosive in your area to tell you you are not covered as well. Make the Hamas leader scared enough, make the Qatar leaders scared enough, and from there the solution that we see happening right now went pretty fast. What do you think? And I would ask you to consider the second element, maybe the element that will solve this obscure situation. We know the Hamas. And it's most likely the Hamas would say no to this deal. And in that case, yesterday, live on TV, in front of millions of people, President Trump said, if it's not going to work at this way by the Hamas, Israel is allowed to do whatever is needed. Plus, if Qatar and all the Muslim countries are already standing for this agreement, if the Hamas won't budge and won't do it eventually, it's literally putting a line and border between them and them. How it's going to be played out, I don't know. We are full with complex questions here. We have so many unclear messages combined. And just a couple of hours ago, I've posted a video. And in the video, in the Telegram, which you should send the link again to our Telegram account, I say one thing. I say the fact that we are standing here today, one day before Yom Kippur, means a lot. Because on Yom Kippur, when we're standing in front of Hashem, we need to understand one thing and remember, He is in charge. Whenever we talk about politics and what Trump is going to do, what Netanyahu will do, and all of that, we always need to remember this. In the end of the day, there's only one boss who controls and makes the decisions for the world. And as much as we care about the politics, we care more about the heavenly politics, of the way He sees it, and how it's going to be played out in this world. So I said it when he was nominated, and I said it when he was elected. We have a lot of trust in Him, and He is providing over and over again the feeling that He really do loves Israel. Absolutely. But we do not forget for a second who's in charge. My deepest fears at this moment will be that the speculation we have here is going to be reversed, and the pressure is going to go back to Israel. Right now, if Israel plays it well, if Hamas says yes or if Hamas says no, we are in a pretty good situation. We are the positives. We are the one who really wants to do something with it, to solve the issue. We were able to give up a lot. We're giving you your terrorists, take them back, and other things. And we come in a very positive way. I do hope that at least Israel will play it well this time. It was released a couple of hours ago. Again, everything happens like live now. That Israel finally understood that we don't have the best PR. So it was just announced that Israel has hired Brad Parscale, Donald Trump's former campaign manager, under a $6 million contract that pays $1.5 million per month over 4 months. A big campaign that will try to tell our story, the reality, life, the honest truth and normal sense. We are not telling legends. We are just portraying a story which is so true and correct. In the world of disinformation, in the world that any claim can be made, we need to fight for what's right and what's good. This is a strong segue into a very important update we need to share with you. And I'm going to give it to Kim to share the recent news that was moved by a lot of UN resolutions, by a murder of our friend Charlie Kirk. It's probably the worst time to tell news, but it's happening live right now as we speak. So I want Kim to share what we are handling now.
So it kind of all started back in April. We got a letter. Got a letter on behalf of Christian Friends of Israeli Communities from Francesca Albanese. And it was a very official looking letter and very threatening letter. And we needed to give a report of what it is that we are doing in Israel. And so we took it to the lawyers because we said, do we answer this? Do we not answer this? Like, is this legal? Is this like, what is this? And the lawyers recommended that we do nothing. They said, do not answer her, do not reply. She cannot touch you. Don't bother. Like, just ignore it. Act like you never got it. So we said, okay, that's easy enough to do. Into the trash bin it went because it was a lot of garbage. Fast forward to July, and Albanese released a report on all of the big bad guys who are profiting from genocide. And in her report, along with, Airbnb and IBM and Microsoft and, huge names, big corporations, because Israel uses their technology, Caterpillar, and I don't know, a whole list, 100 different companies, right? Two Christian organizations are listed by name as being benefiting from genocide, I believe is the accusation against us. Not only benefiting from genocide, but we're actively complicit in genocide, but we're actively participating in genocide, meaning that and so it wasn't quite spelled out, but the implication and the accusation was definitely that we Christian Friends of Israeli Communities, which is you, our donors, are putting guns into settlers' hands, and we are using Palestinian children as target practice. We are actively seeking to murder and kill Palestinians. That is the thing. And so we took that to the lawyers, and then we said, well, what do we do with this? Because her recommended actions based on the report is sanctions. Technically, they said it's a technicality, but technically, me personally, if I were to decide to travel to Europe, I might have to think twice about it, because technically, based on her report and based on how much they want to follow it, she's recommending that if I ever leave the United States, that I'm arrested and charged with crimes. So we decided enough's enough. This is nonsense, and where do we draw the line in the sand? So the lawyers recommended, they said we need to draw a line in the sand. This is an opportunity because, as Shmuel said, we have President Trump in the White House. We also have Albanese is no longer a UN special reporter. She her tenure at that position ended in like April, I believe, and was never renewed. So she no longer has diplomatic immunity. She was supposed to be in New York for the UN General Council last week, and President Trump pulled her visa, so she can't come into the United States. So right now, the lawsuit is they're waiting. They're trying to serve her papers. So last we heard, they have not been successful in serving her, but it's just kind of been a roller coaster of why are we doing this? And I think that's the number one question. And the real reason why we're doing this is because it's the right thing to do. Because if we don't stand up, then each and every person who chooses to put their heart and soul where they believe God is telling them to do, to stand with Israel, is going to be on the front lines and is going to be subject to more and more and more of these kind of sanctions, these kind of just targeting against us. So we said, okay, God, if you're going to put us in this position, here we are, here I am, use me, right? So yeah, that's kind of where it's at the moment.
My I my biggest like crazy moment here is the realization that an NGO that deals with humanitarian work in Judea and Samaria is, I received a letter and it was said genocidal acts. And I'm like, I'm Israeli. Does it mean genocidal mean genocide? I mean, I Googled it. Said, do they really even using the word genocide against us?
Right.
This is unheard of. And in the world, in America, where free speech, right, supposed to be one of the First Amendments, right? Tell me, am I wrong? It should be one of the fundamental, obligations of this country to allow its citizens. And this lawsuit is against an actor that comes and says, you are not allowed to practice your beliefs. Surely you're not allowed to practice your free speech. That's the end of it. And it's crazy. And although we are people of peace, and we, Kim and me, we said in the beginning, we don't want to go into, we're doing good, we don't want to go into dispute. But enough is enough. And the fact that they're abusing their, titles against us, this is unheard of. And it needs to stop. And we'll give you an update about it. We have a couple of minutes left. Any questions, guys? You were fairly quiet today.
What it's not clear to me, this is Maria speaking.
Hi.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yep, I can hear you great.
What it's not clear to me, out of the 5 points that Netanyahu indicated, it's the Gaza, there were like 4 lines. I don't know if my TV is too little. So what is going to remain? Who is going to take care of it? And I don't understand what is the division going to look like.
There will be a short line, a border, maybe 1-2 miles It's called
Like
the
the blue
perimeter.
line. I think there was the blue line.
The blue lines and the blue lines in between. It's like
Okay.
it's like a territory that's going to be blocked. And the idea there is twofold. Number one, the Palestinians have a big deal with land. They're always talking about their lands and their lands. And there's something here that is almost, I would say, educational punishment. You were fighting for your land. Look what happened. All this mess, and you lost land. That's number one. And the second is, what happened in 7th of October? That was the border, and that was the block. If we will have 1, 2, 3, 4 miles, I don't know exactly how much, of empty grounds, it would be much harder to penetrate because we will have more soldiers and more guards and more fences. We will have a longer area to protect, in a sense, therefore a better area that's going to be free. And so that's security-wise and educational-wise a very good, important point. I'm very happy that he insisted on it. Honestly, it's a big move. It's a big move to sit on there. And the idea, which was said yesterday, it's one of the points, is that in case, by the way, it happens right now in Lebanon. In Lebanon, right now, in the agreements we have, if there's a case of something developing against Israel, which the local forces are not being able to stop, Israel has the right to come and attack without request. Boom, on the spot when you hear there's like a plane shot something in Lebanon, that's what happened. Always ready. If indeed it will happen, there's going to be forces in Gaza, but if they won't be able to provide what's needed, boom, in a split second, we're there and we're attacking. How can we do that? Because we're not going to be outside of the border, we're going to be inside the border.
So that's what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
It's a wider authority.
A wider line to protect from.
Okay. So nothing is going to remain for Palestine, or is it?
It's only going to be a wide border. Everything inside is going to be remaining them. We're going to have forces that will allow it to go there, and there will be roads that are still going to be open if we want our troops to go in and out.
Okay, I got it.
Anyone else?
Well, and I would just say, add on to this, Maria, this is all a well and good plan if you've got partners who are focused on peace, right? Because we know that Israel they want aid, they want food, they want jobs, they want life to go back to normal for the Palestinians. Meaning, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what we call it in America. And that's the same thing. The problem, of course, is that there is no such partner in any of this.
Yeah.
So it looks great on paper, but the reality of it actually coming to pass, I think, is like nil.
But the potential exists that if they behave or if there is it can become a statehood.
Right. I don't necessarily, it's not really a statehood. It's just somebody other than Hamas and somebody other than the Palestinian Authority is in power, is supposed to be ruling their people. So, if they actually had someone that cared about their people, then it would be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Questions? Anyone else? Comments?
It is a very confusing message and story, and there are a lot of talks right now, and reality is yet to be found. There were many times this conversation ended up with nothing. Let's not forget that in reality, they won't be able to translate into something. I think in that case, Israel wins as well. If the pressure now is in Hamas side, we should say, thank God. Now they need to prove that they're serious and it's not on our shoulders. I would just want to finish up and say this. On Yom Kippur, we stand and we pray, and it's been the second year that I don't think Israelis are praying in a regular sense. We do understand that there's so many people right now in pain, so many people serving in our hostages. How amazing will it be if the 7th of October, that's in 8 days, we will see all of them home and make an end for this story. Now, I'm saying this regardless of what you think about the politics and the agreements in Hamas. These kids have to be home. They are living a torture for 2 years. We know how they're being treated. We know what they're going through. It's a situation that nobody can live normally. Nobody can continue with life. And it's true, more than anything. Bring our people back. Take your filthy terrorists and do your best shot. Again, as you will probably do, we will be there, vigilant and aware and prepared. That's the only thing we have going for us. We are the only people that can protect ourselves with the help of God. We do not trust any other force. We have God and we have us as the soldiers. And I hope that this Zoom with all the news is going to be, the next Zoom is going to be with the celebrations of our hostages back and just good things happening to the people. And again, I want to send a speedy recovery to my friend Liraz. 5 children, a father without legs already. Let's say that's the only thing that will be damaged.
Amen.
Happens every day.
Wow.
Awful.
But it brings it home when it's someone you personally know. Yeah, I found the article and I put it out on the chat. So
Okay.
he was to go home on Tuesday. It was his last day, and he jumped out of the tank and stepped on a mine. Oh,
Yeah, awful.
Can you say that?
Okay, my friends. Shana tova, gmar chatima tova.